No.
Go ahead. It's only 17,000 people. Sit down.
17,000.
Go ahead. Sit down.
17.
18 now. 18,000. Welcome, class. We're trying to get our stuff together.
Come in, please.
OMG.
Say hello.
Billy is trying to give me a hard time. Get away from me.
Say hi to Billy. And this one is giving me a hard time.
Hey, Brad.
Hi.
Right there.
Okay, Brad, what's the first step today?
I don't know.
Hey, class, thanks for joining us. Give us a few minutes to get this thing worked out. We're going to get right to buying at auctions. Buying at auctions is one of my favorite ways to buy assets or, yeah, I guess assets. Yeah, things have been an asset. Let me get my water. We're going to get right at it.
Huh?
It's
It's live. Yeah, it's live. You don't want to be in it?
No, 17,000
Who
people.
do we have with you, Ronnie?
Why not?
Google. I'm not going to go on live.
Who do we have there with you?
What?
Who is there with you today?
Bryn Haskins. Super fantastic gymnast. She,
All right.
yeah, she's a junior level 4 gymnast.
Oh, wow. Now, tell us, what's a level 4 gymnast? Was that like super high?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really high. She does a lot of different moves, like a double back handspring. She's doing cartwheels on the beam now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So say hi to everybody, Brenny.
I already said hi.
And now she's like being the most shy person. When she's out on the beam in front of 300 people, it's no big deal. But in front of the camera, I don't know. She's like that.
17,000 people. Not 300. It's not the same.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody.
Let me get this thing ready. I'm going to get the thumbnail ready so we can move on.
All right, I'll be right back. Brenny, talk to everybody and tell them how to buy cars at the auction.
What's an auction?
I like that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Give me a few minutes, class. We're going to get rocking and rolling. We're going to get rocking and rolling. I know it's hard for me to get started. Not hard, but sometimes I get started so quick, and then we don't get an opportunity for people to come in and share. Class, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Hey.
Brenny.
What?
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Okay.
What are you out of school? Are y'all on your fall break already?
Yep.
That it goes by fast.
Yeah, so over this weekend, we got a gym meet tomorrow.
Oh, where's that at?
I don't know.
Lakewood, Colorado.
I bet that is going to be nice.
You might get to go to one when you're here.
Yeah, that'd be real cool. I like to see it.
Okay.
That'd be real nice. Okay, class. Let's get rocking and rolling here, brother. Robert, what's up? Yes, hey, Bluebird, what's going on? Good morning, good morning. Show. So, class, good morning. Here we are once again with Ask a Haskins, where my brother and I get to actually ask each other questions that we feel like you would probably want to know also. So, over the years, my brother and I haven't been the closest, but But now that we have this common denominator, we are able to talk to each other and talk to you at the same time about the questions that we share with entrepreneurs, entrepreneurialism, buying houses and buying cars. And we want to raise your financial literacy through real estate and entrepreneurship. So today's training is going to be about buying cars and houses at auction. My brother has been a car dealer since the late 1990s. He's an expert in buying and selling cars. I guess one would call it maybe flipping cars, if you will. Car dealer extraordinaire out in Colorado Springs. Thank you, Ronnie Haskins, for joining me. What up?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today I have my sidekick with me, Bryn Haskins, who is a gymnast and on fall break from the 3rd grade right now. So she's hanging out with daddy as I buy and sell cars today. And I thank you, Kris, for having me with you and sharing your knowledge with me after being a real estate investor yourself for over 20 years. So it's amazing that we can have these conversations and grow together while everybody can participate. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So for our viewers, please, if you live in the middle of nowhere, if you live somewhere where no one knows where the hell that is in the planet Earth, put your state in with your name when you put a comment. But if you live in a well-known city, please put your name in with your city so we can fire away with questions. I love the comments, but the questions would help us out today. Ronnie, let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling. You want to go ahead with your auction, or you want me to start with my auction?
Go ahead, man. I'm listening. I want to learn.
All right. Yes, I'm here to learn too. It's cool. I get to know you and learn a little bit.
Yeah. I want to know about the auction. I know about the auctions at the car dealerships, but I want to know what the heck happens and what you need to do to be prepared to buy a house at auction.
All right. So let's start. I'm going to real briefly touch online auctions, because we don't have it like you, where you can see, like I saw where you showed me yesterday, you can see the car online, which is so cool. Unfortunately, there's nobody out there holding a camera and walking us through houses doing a video. Well, I wish it would be nice. You know, I took a coaching client one time to a foreclosure auction, Ronnie, and after we bid, he said, well, when do we get the keys?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, brother, you might be in the wrong car. We don't get keys to these houses. So online auctions, thank goodness. Let's rewind a little bit about history about the foreclosure process. Been around forever, since the beginning, and it is very antiquated. It's almost like using someone, just imagine someone showing up, an accountant showing up with a calculator, as opposed to an accountant showing up with a Mac or a PC. The foreclosure process is like a calculator. You got to be there on site, which is crazy to me. I don't even know why they do that still. But it's in my advantage because it blocks out all the other buyers that can't come to the foreclosure auction. But they are getting online now. Matter of fact, as I've been going, auction.com has a representative that has been coming to the auctions to kind of pick our brains on how they can serve us better. But online, the thing I want you to know about online auction is you don't have to do a bunch of research, minimum research.
You're talking about you just don't even need to do research at all on the online property?
Well, yeah, we're gonna do. I always like to kind of split things over, like the fence. We got online stuff, and then you've got foreclosure auctions at the steps when we're going out there, right?
Okay.
So online auctions, they've done a lot of the research regarding telling you what deed of trust is being foreclosed on, because you need to make sure you're buying a first deed of trust, or let's call it a first mortgage. So as you know, in real estate, we have positions, right? You can have first, second, third mortgages, and all that means is who's ever in first position.
Okay.
Whoever's in first position. So sometimes, Ronnie, I have loaned money to people. I'm in second position, and I have to foreclose in second position. That still leaves this first in place. All right.
Okay.
So you and I were talking last night about research. You need to do maximum research if you're going to the courthouse steps. And that's that fence I wanted to talk about. Online is minimum research. at the courthouse. Maximum research.
Okay, so if you're going to go there in person, you need to do maximum research. If you're buying it online, it doesn't require to do that much research.
Well, it's still, you do have to do some, but you don't have to necessarily. You know, these online auctioneers have done a lot of the research for us per se.
Okay.
So to speak, you know, but if you're going down there, there is no research being done. They just the bank hasn't got their payments. They've called an attorney. They said, Mr. Attorney, I need you to take this house back from me, period. They don't, and there is no research online that you can see. You know, there is nothing online to see.
Wow.
Yeah, so literally, Ronnie, so we go to the courthouse. It's very antiquated, man. It really feels like 1800s. We show up, somebody shows up with a notepad. They stand like this. They look around. They say, if anybody's here to bid on this house, we got to sign in. And then they start going, brother.
Wow.
They start going. And you can see some of the previous videos that I have on the channel about, I've actually taken a camera with me to the auction. So the research we wanted to talk about, Ronnie and I, when you see us here, I call this the front office. Well, you never get to see any of the back office where we're digging out, researching the ARV. You got to know the ARV, the value of the property that we're selling it for. The mortgage, the lien position, you better be buying a first mortgage. I had a friend that bought a second mortgage and he lost $60,000 because he didn't know that he was buying a second mortgage.
So what I've heard, Kris, is if you aren't in first position, everybody else can get wiped out except for first position. Is that correct?
They have the potential, yes. Usually they do get wiped out because typically there's no, okay, let's say the first mortgage is $10,000 and the house is worth $150,000.
Okay.
So when the first mortgage forecloses at 10, you still got a bunch of equity left. That's typically not the case. Usually the first mortgage is $100,000 and the house is only worth, $90,000.
Okay.
So there's no equity left. They're wiping out the rest of these guys. That's why being in second position is kind of challenging. Or you need to know which mortgage, because don't forget, foreclosure, all it means is taking back. I'm going to take back. Unstoppable, unobstructable. You cannot stop a foreclosure. Well, let me rewind that. You can stop a foreclosure, but it is very challenging. We can do that, but it is challenging to stop a foreclosure. The law states you can take that house back. So don't forget, when you do a foreclosure, all you're doing is taking over ownership. You're taking ownership. Doesn't matter if the second owns it. Now the third could own it. So when the third forecloses, now they just got to make a phone call to 2 and 1. There's so much that could happen here. You can get discounts, but you need to know which one, because sometimes the third, I've had seconds and thirds go to foreclosure, and then people are just in trouble, right? Because you got once you foreclose here, you still got to pay off this 100 first.
Wow.
You better know that, brother. You are in serious doggy do.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's some of the research that we have to do called a title search. This is called, pulling this stuff here is called a title search. Pulling all the liens and stuff, and we could have a tax lien. I mean, not a lien. You can have back taxes. I've seen them up to 10, 15,000. You can have a sewer bill, Ronnie, a water bill. I've seen people have landscape $8,000. Matter of fact, the house I live in had an $8,000 debris removal lien attached to it. So we had to deal with all that stuff trying to get discounts.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, the people, man, they were on drugs and they left stuff all around the yard and debris, and rats started to come and the neighbors started to call, and then the city came, cleaned it up. It was $8,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, man, let's get into, okay, so this is the back office that we're talking about in real estate. All right, so all of this stuff here, doing the title search, this is going to take a week. Ronnie, the people, they don't see me in the trenches out there doing research to see what liens are on these properties, what the value is. All they see is the finished product. We're either buying the house or we're bidding. That's all typically what people see,
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your process. And don't forget, guys, I am going to start answering real estate questions here. I think that my spirit told me that we need to start answering car and real estate questions here. I think it'll be wise to do that.
All right. So look, we've got two ways to buy cars too. We've got the online auctions as well as the in-person auctions. I can hear myself on your phone.
Let me turn it down.
Okay, so like, but like you said, like this is the front office right here. When you're dealing with trying to determine what you want to pay for a car at an auction, then you have to do a lot of research up front. And I usually have a whole lot of screens open to make sure that I'm doing everything possible to, hey Billy, doing everything possible to have that research done way in advance, so that I don't have to guess. I mean, the goal of the auction is to take all the guesswork out of it. I think when people hear about the auctions, they think that, it's, oh, those cars are going through the sale for $1. I'm like, man, no. They've got certain things that have to be met. So look at this Corvette. I'm going to share the screen with you. This is a 2019 Corvette ZR1.
Wow.
Mouse moving here. It's got a buy now number of $129,900.
What does buy now mean, Ronnie?
Buy now means if I press this button right here, I'm buying this car.
Oh my Lord.
So yeah, and so basically I have tools though. If you look at my tools right here, I can click on this button and it tells me what this car, great, that's fantastic. So we can, the market says this car does about 123,000. Based on odometer, you can sort and, okay, so one with 32 miles did 146, 133 and look at the dates, guys, 9/20/18. So there's also a lot more data going on in this picture. So there's condition report, COND, that's condition report. So 5 is as high as you can get in the car industry for maximum condition. But as you can see, based on these numbers, this car is a little bit overvalued at $129,900.
You say overvalued or overpriced?
I'm sorry, overpriced. So that's a good catch. Overpriced. So, that information I'm looking at a week prior to trying to purchase this vehicle. So if I want to purchase that vehicle, I've done the research. I understand what the market value is of the car. That's a good point, Kris. Not the asking price, but those types of things are done way in advance. I'm also looking at things called condition reports. If you're online, I'll show you what a condition report looks like. So this isn't the best condition report. It's not one that I prefer because it's done by the dealer, which is a thing that you have to learn. You can't learn this stuff through, it's on the job training. So if you're looking at this condition report, the dealer is just saying, hey, the car's fine. A better example of a condition report is if I'm looking at a different screen, this one here. So this type of condition report, this car has a 4.6. It doesn't have a lot of damage reported. The tires, I can see what's remaining on the tires.
Wow.
I can see what the interior odor's like. All of this stuff is written out all the way down to, look at this, Kris, smart key. How many smart keys does it have? One smart key, which, you're trying to get a $150,000 car and you're like, okay, that's fine. But those keys cost $500-600.
Wow.
So in your world, you use after repair value. For me, it's after reconditioning value. If I purchase the car, I still have to reconditioning, mean buy keys, tires, brake pads, all of these types of things. So when I'm looking at this data, it's very specific science to it. There's no emotion involved. There's no, I really want that car. We've done that video. You understand what that ends up being. So that's the online perception of this auction. Go ahead and talk about your other stuff because I'm going to bring up a live auction so people can see it.
Yeah, I want to see that. But Ronnie, I had some questions about that first.
Go ahead, man.
Are we doing public auction today? Because I think we talked about that earlier too. Is this data? Okay, because you're in the dealer section regarding the fence. We got the dealer. Well, tell us, break it down for me, dealer and public.
So like I have witnessed public auctions. The auctions I go to require a license and a card to actually get into the place. Some of those auctions have a day a week where they will have open to the public auctions where they sell government items And then most of that stuff is trucks and vans and things of that nature. You'll never find that Corvette at a public auction unless it's a high-end Barrett-Jackson auction or something like that. But, you know, Chris, the public auctions will require the same thing. I mean, if they won't let you go look at the product before the sale, you're going to be in trouble. I've never seen a public auction online, Chris. So, you know, the online stuff that I'm talking about right now, I have never seen one of those online.
But the data you're talking about still is data that needs to be considered, even if we were buying public auction, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a system. It's a system. You know, you have to understand what the value of that car is. No matter what you think you want to pay for it, you have to understand the value. And then you also have to understand the repair cost and the reconditioning cost of getting that vehicle ready to go back to market once you purchase it.
I never thought about reconditioning. Yeah, that shit could be several thousand, right?
It's always several thousand. I mean, it's well on cars like that. I mean, so, you know, details are $150 to $300. Tires, windshield wipers, brake pads. And sometimes you get burned. You know, you don't know about certain cars. Like in my industry, we all know about certain particular cars. Like they have habits, or they are, you know, if it's an old Odyssey, they usually have transmission problems at 100,000 miles. Like that's like industry information that you learn over time. So you may see, or if a good case is like a Ford 6-liter turbo diesel, a 6-liter turbo diesel. Those things are like the kiss of death. You will find them all the time. They look cheaper online, and you know they look clean, but they always have ignition problems. They always have engine problems. They are never good buys unless they're $2,500. So that type of stuff.
That was worth price of admission for the day, brother.
You have to learn that over time, though. You know, you can't just go pick up a book and somebody's going to tell you why that car is not a good buy. You just have to know it. And I see a lot of people get burned doing that.
Now tell me about your seller, Ronnie. Is it the seller? I mean, okay, in real estate, the bank is my seller.
I'm dealing with banks too, but my banks are Chase, Toyota Motor Credit Corporation, Honda Credit. They are selling their lease return inventory back to dealers like me.
Now, I want to keep touching on that because, you know, I dabble a little bit in the automotive industry. I partner with some local dealers here.
Yeah.
But I hear people talking about different sellers at the auction about repos perhaps, or title loan repos, or credit with the credit, what are the credit union repos. Are some repos better than others, or are you dealing with trade-ins? Or I mean, do you know who? That's my point. Do you know who the seller is, and do you have to have a sensibility to what they're trying to do, their end goal?
Yeah, Chris. You know, this is so different than your industry because, you know, you can go take over somebody's house and they still have the deed to it. You know, you cannot do that in the automotive industry. It is so buttoned up. And so what happens at these auctions, and let's talk about that. These auctions are there to facilitate a sale between the seller and the buyer. So you have the seller, which is, let's say, Chase Bank. They do an awful lot of leases. And so they go out and repo that car because the person isn't making their leasing payments. They bring it to auction, right? They then have to tell the auction when they're going to have the title. And then the auction will take my money, but they will not release that money to the seller until they get the title.
Wow.
So I am protected in a warm blanket of transaction. You understand? There's never any, I hope I get the title. You know, I mean, it's and that's why when people tell me I'm gonna go to public auction, I'm like, good luck.
Well, that's why we're here to educate them and see what they need.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's difficult. So if you're talking to a dealer like myself, there's reasons why we buy at certain places.
Are there any particular, you know, because around here, a lot of these title they're loaning out title loans, right?
Yeah.
And then people drive the car and just dump it, you know, because they got their money and the title loan company will just take it back.
Right.
Are you in that world at all, or can you tell us? I mean, do you stay away from that world, or?
Yeah, I mean, so you get those types of cars. They're usually inexpensive cars, which are super hard to duplicate. So this is for you guys that want to build your own car business. You want to build your own car business. I learned over, I've been doing this 23 years. So over about 10 years, I realized that type of business is hard to duplicate and scale. It's hard to duplicate and scale. So if you're interested in being in the car business like myself, I found out that cars that are still under warranty, that are $15,000 or higher, are easy to duplicate. I can go out and find another one. I can constantly be turning inventory.
Wow.
Those other ones are there, and the only attraction to the other ones is the price. And so you got to spend a little bit more money to keep yourself safe and protected. And that's what I learned after 10 years of grinding at it.
So duplicatable, I love it. I love the term duplicatable, Ronnie. Tell me, break that down a little bit about being something that's duplicatable as opposed to something that comes once in a while.
I have a great example. I've got a car I'm selling today for $5,500. It's a Lexus RX 300. It's got 140,000 miles on it. I took it in on trade. Now, a lot of people would be like, I want that. I'm like, okay, well, I have a buyer coming to pick it up at 5. But the thing is, if you call me today and say, man, I got $5,500, can you get me one? The answer is no. It's not duplicatable. But when you want to look at, let me just do a quick search here for, Acura, right? If I do a search for Acura, and I want to look at model year 2016, 17, 18.
While he's looking, y'all, make sure you put your questions in the question box with your name and city.
And so when I do a search for 16s, 17s, and 18s, look how many I have, 1,055. So
wow.
If you're building,
is that in your town or that's just nationwide?
This is nationwide. So I can scroll through this list and look at all these Acuras all over the country. I can click buttons, look at the Carfax reports, do all different types of things. And now we pay for this service, but what I'm telling you is if you're building a car business, I have found, just for me, that it's easier to duplicate vehicles that are still under warranty and cost more than $15,000. Stuff that's $5,000 is just super hard to duplicate.
Yeah, shoot, we had an RX 350 and we couldn't. I think it was way more than that. More trading. Yeah. All right, I love this, man. It's so cool because my industry, the auction, is a lender typically that is liquidating the asset just to get their money back. That's all they want, and they are taking over ownership from the current homeowner. So you think you own your house until you stop making the mortgage payments, right? You got a sad day coming when you stop making those mortgage payments. So the lender is going to be liquidating the home to get their money back. So it's different from my brother. Let me get my notes here.
I'm here.
It's different from my brother where, wow, it's just so different.
Yeah, you got to understand, Kris, the banks, you're dealing with an appreciating property. Banks over over years and years, they've realized that they have a secure interest on that title. That title, I can't take that title and go say, hey, Kris, I want you to do a subject to. Nah, man, you got to get the bank to clear that lien or that title is useless. And think about it. Like, you got to take that title to the DMV to get license plates. DMV looks at it and says, hey, man, there's a lien on it. I can't title this car to you. I mean, they have it buttoned up from A to Z. So it makes it real good when you're at the auction buying cars.
Yeah. So in a minute, I want to talk about your auction etiquette. But I wanted to touch on the mortgage holder that's owning. On a car, Ronnie, say if I got a house, I can put $100,000 on it, right? Then I go out and borrow another $20,000 on a home equity line of credit. Can you do that with cars? Can you borrow on top of the first loan?
Well, there's a thing in the car industry called loan to value, LTV. And so if you've got an 800 credit score and the car is worth $10,000 and you have a loan on it for $10,000 and you've got an 800 credit score with stellar credit, there's a potential you could get a bank to say, yeah, I'll give you another $5,000. But, you can have more than one security on the car. I mean, you can have, let's say the car's worth $10,000, you have a loan on it for $5,000. You can go out and get another loan on the car. You can refinance it and pull the cash out. I don't think I've ever seen one with more than one loan on it, though.
There's usually one lender on that asset.
Right. I don't think I've seen one with dual lenders, but I don't want to say it can't happen, but I've just never seen it.
So usually they're gonna the second lender that I approach is gonna pay off the first and take their position.
Okay.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So like I owe 5,000 on my car. It's worth 10,000, or even if it's just worth 5,000, I want to refinance it.
Refinance.
I qualify. I go back to the bank. They will pay that loan off, and they assume the first position.
So I want to talk to you. Wow. So you have so much data to base your decision-making process by. This is how much data we get. Zero.
Oh man, that sucks.
We can't even go inside the house, Ronnie. You know, I mean, you can try to walk around the house, but you could get shot or stabbed, or a dog could bite you. You could. I mean, it hasn't happened to me yet. It has not happened to me yet. Praise God. But we get no information on the house. We don't even get to look inside, Ronnie, when we're putting up 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 120,000 on an asset, Ronnie, that we don't even see.
I can call the auction and say, hey, I'm interested in what that car smells like. Can you walk outside on your cell phone and tell me? And they go outside, get in the car in New England, and they're like, Ronnie, smells like smoke, man. I'm like, okay, that's what I thought. I'm not interested in that car. You know, like I can put boots on the ground all over the country.
That is so cool. So a smoking car is going to be something to stay. Well, just like in real estate, I don't let any of my tenants smoke. Well, not that I don't let them. We don't deal with smokers in our rental properties, right? Do you deal with smoky cars?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's something that we look out for. It's gotten a lot better over the years because people have just stopped smoking in their cars. But
do you buy smoky cars?
No, I don't want to buy them. I mean, it's just basically we have to look at the car to see if it smells like smoke, because I have clients that are allergic. I have clients that are just averse to it. And so when I'm looking at the car, I'm looking at what that interior odor is before I purchase it.
So you got so much more data. It's truly cool to see the different auctions. So when I'm going to bid, I got my big boy. Tell me about, okay, on my side, on the real estate, let's go to so you got this, right? You got the first mortgage. We all got that down. Let me go ahead and erase that.
Yes, sir.
So when we're going to bid, let's say the house is $100,000 house, right?
Okay.
We have to typically have 10% of whatever the opening or the sales price is going to be for that house. So typically we have to show up with $10,000 in a money order or cashier's check. Or I would not recommend this, I've seen brothers show up with stacks of cash, Ron.
I was going to ask you, like, is that 10,000 just an arbitrary number? Because like, I don't accept cash over $10,000, like $10,001. I'm like, nah, you know, because it's a whole stack of paperwork you have to do to goes with it. Is that why? I mean, or you're just used the arbitrary number at 100 grand? 10% is the real number.
I could have done 180,000. I've seen people bring 12, 13,000 cash, Ron. The foreclosing attorney will walk you into the courthouse where the sheriff is, and I have seen them count thousands of dollars, man. It's truly amazing to see people show up to an auction with cash, Ronnie.
I think it's great, but they probably see if you're at the courthouse with the sheriff, then they're doing those IRS documents right there it's good for people to know. It's like you can't just bring in 20. Anytime you go over $10,000, beware, you are going to have to do a crap load of IRS documents. So yes, you may have 20 grand cash to go and purchase something, but you're going to have to do a whole lot of IRS documents along with it.
Yeah, I never do that. I would never carry cash. I always carry a certified funds.
And make it clear, like you can have a check for $100,000 and nobody will ask you a thing. But if you have cash, $100 bills, you're going to be mired down in paperwork. Somebody might visit your bank. I mean, it's going to be a difficult deal. Because the drug dealers started all that stuff back in the day.
Yeah. So we got to have a deposit here, right? Deposit?
Yeah.
And the remaining balance is usually due in 14 business days in Virginia. Typically, it could be less or more, but it varies around the state. I know my boy Kris lives in New Mexico. He has to have the remaining balance in 2 days.
Okay.
I don't know what Colorado is, but yes, so when you're going to buy houses at the auction, you better have your finances set up.
Well, in my world, dude, it's like you buy the car. It goes, so you can either do cash, you can walk a thing of cash in there, do a whole lot of paperwork. You can write a check for it right there when you pick the car up. What we have is we have what's called a floor plan. So I can put that car on my line of credit for about 6 months if I want to. Normally the turnaround time is about 3 weeks, but you know, we are
In your
very,
world, the floor plan is like a line of credit, right?
it is a line of credit. It's usually run by major banks, but either way, it's a great way to purchase more than one car. You know, you got to be able to purchase more than one car. So, but that still has to be satisfied every 60, 90 days.
Yeah. Well, I thought that when I learned about the floor plan, I thought that was cool because it's almost like an open line of credit for dealers. Break that down a little bit for me, Ron.
Yeah. Okay. So when you have a floor plan, you've qualified with the auction and the floor planning company to be certified to purchase cars. Now they go through your bank records, they go through your stuff. You got to qualify just like a loan. But once you've qualified, you can have a $2 million line, which is basically an open checkbook. So I just go to the sale, click on the buttons, put my little numbers in, and they release the cars, without any money changing hands. And they do it all behind the scenes. And then I can go back and look at the floor plan and see which cars I need to pay off strategically every month. So yeah, I mean, it's a completely different world than the real estate world, but it's interesting nonetheless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is so cool. You can buy a car. You don't even need the money. You just put it on. You just say, put it on my floor plan. And basically, the money people are just you're just borrowing the money.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. The most success, if you guys are thinking about opening a car dealership, the most successful people I've seen that keep inventory. So I'm not an inventory speculation business. I don't really flip cars. We'll talk about that later. I take orders and then I buy the cars. But the people that keep 20 cars on the ground on a floor plan, when the market shifts, they are in danger of losing thousands and thousands of dollars and going out of business instantly. So if you're going to do a business where you're keeping cars on the ground, you want to pay cash, which means you need $400,000 or $500,000 at all times in order to do that. If you're doing higher end cars, but I'm just giving you that word of advice. Like the people I've seen do the most successful car dealers, they buy everything cash. If you're taking orders and flipping within 2 or 3 weeks, then the line of credit's totally fine because you're never gonna. We pay on average, Chris, like $150 a car in interest. No, in interest. If I spend 30 grand on a car, it costs me like $150 in interest. It's really not a big deal. It adds up. You got to watch it, but it's still not the end of the world.
All right, let me do this, Ronnie. So we already at 45 minutes, brother.
I know. We could talk about this all day.
So real quick, I got to get your auction etiquettes. Auction etiquette. So when I'm showing up at the auction, you were telling me something really cool, man. You want to go with yours?
Okay.
You're ready to buy. You got the car. You got the car that you want. Auction etiquette, guys, is so crucial, man. I mean, can't stress to you enough.
When you have guys at the auctions, hold on, Chris. Do you have a place where you could talk for a second? I want to bring this up and see if I can find a live one so people can see it. It's like crazy.
All right.
Talk about something for a second. Let me pull up an auction.
Well, I can do my auction etiquette first.
Go ahead.
Okay, so auction etiquette in the real estate world. Auction etiquette. Please, when they open up the bids, don't be the first one raising your hand. Good God, if I could just get people to just stop raising their hands as soon as the auction opens, the prices wouldn't go up so high. So they're opening bid. Now let me rewind a little bit. When we're talking about foreclosure auction, the bank has a specific number that they're going to have the starting bid. No one can change that. The foreclosing trustee shows up with his little dingy clothes on and he starts with the opening bid. That's what it is. You cannot change the fact that that's the opening bid. But you can, however, when other people are bidding, you can wait. What I do is I wait until some of the activity is slowed down. We got 40,000, 50,000, 60, 70, 71, 72, 73, 73.5, 73.1, 73.2. Then you can start bidding. So sometimes it's not even worth your time to even to bid because they've already outbid your price. So I'm saying that to say on the real estate side, hold off on your bidding until you see what the other bids are going to be. That's when you're doing a live auction. Now, online, they have something that you got to be very, very leery of and familiar with called robo bidding. Robo bidding. I got to write that down because you got to get that. Robo bidding. Please familiarize yourself with this crap right here because it is going to bite you in the long run if you don't know how this works. How these slimy online auction companies are setting it up. When you bid 50,000, they have a computer that will automatically raise the bid $2,500 automatically. It's called robo bidding. I cannot stand it. To me, it should be illegal. It should be criminal. I talked to the man from auction.com and he said it is his obligation to get as much money for his client as possible. You know, I think we're going to have some legislation against that in the near future. But this robo bidding, so I'll make a bid. I've done it several times. Huh?
I just said, wow, it just seems illegal, man.
Dude, I'm like, how can you even, how do you sleep at night, Ronnie? I would just imagine if I had tenants coming to rent my place and I could hypothetically make up another tenant saying that they were going to pay $50 more. Would you be willing to match that? I mean, is that ethical?
Well, that's how it is in the real estate industry. Like they list the house for 3,000 or 300,000. I say, here's 300,000. They're like, wait, we got another bidder at 310. You know, that's like normal in the real estate industry.
But is it a bidder though? We're talking about real bidders, Ronnie. I'm not talking about computers making up numbers.
I don't know. I guess you're right. I mean, that seems totally illegal. They're just like fraudulently. So in my world, I have seen guys, they sell like 75 cars a week, right? And they're sitting there with, I know their lane. I'm like, it's John, he's in lane 2. And John's in lane 2. And his cars are going through, like all 75 of them. And people will be raising their hand and bidding, and John will be like,
what?
He's bidding to raise his bids on the cars. I'm like, but after you go to that auction for years, you're like, that's your car, man. I won't give you that for the car.
Unbelievable.
But new people, they don't know. It's crazy. I think that should be illegal.
Yeah, we're going to get to your car thing in a minute. But this robo bidding, guys, please know how this works. When you bid, pay close attention to how fast the bids are going up online. And have your rock solid mayo, You got to have your mayo in real estate. Before you even go in, golly, you better know what your mayo is going to be, right? Mayo in real estate is your maximum allowable offer. Your maximum allowable offer. You better know what your mayo is before you go to any auction. Because you're going to get caught up in all this moving around and everybody's raising hands. You're going to get caught up in that and you're done. But auction etiquette, wait till the end if you can. If you're live, online stuff, beware of robo bidding. Okay, Ryan.
Okay, let me pull up this sale, dude.
Any questions you got? We're going to start knocking them out in about a few minutes after my brother talks about his auction etiquette.
Listen to this.
What is that?
This is a live sale.
Oh, wow.
See the numbers?
Can you blow that up some?
I can't make it any bigger. And watch this car come through. So let me turn this off.
Let's see it. I didn't see one. Was that an auction? Did that one go by already?
Yeah, it's moving so fast, man. Like, so you said something earlier. You're like, don't be the first to put your hand up, right?
Real estate.
In my world, it's like reversed because every dealer, well, it really depends. It depends on what I talked about earlier. Are you buying for inventory are you buying because you're taking an order? Like I take an order for this Corvette. I'm there to buy that specific car and I want to get it. So they will come out and the auctioneer will start that gibberish and he'll say 15. Nobody puts their hand up. Kris, it's like they all are listening to you. They're like, don't put your hand up, because that first number the auction says is exactly what they want for the car. That's it. That's all they want. Now, if you got that car sold for 16 and nobody's putting their hand up at 15, you may think, awesome, I'm going to go ahead and put my hand up and get the car bought. You may get one or two guys bidding against you and raise it up. But here's what really happens. Like they say, 15. And then nobody says anything. And then he goes, 14. Nobody says anything. Then he gets to 13. Now, instead of one or two bidders, you have 30. Because everybody wants the car at 13. And so I see it all the time. It'll be, he'll say, 13. And then 2 or 3 seconds later, it'll be a 16.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it'll go way over his number because so many people get in. And so I have learned that if I do my math, I do my numbers. We talked about this in the beginning of the video. So I've already done my math, my research, what I should own that car for. And if I should own that car for 15, I'm not going to wait and try and steal it at 13 when I see 50 other prowling leopards trying to get this car. So I push them out of the way. I'm like 15. And so then I get one guy that goes, I can't believe you bid that. I really want it. I'll give you 15.1. And I'll say 15.2, and he's usually gone. And nobody else even gets to bid on the car. And so, now think about it. You need to sell it for more than 15 or 16 or 17. But, if you do your math and you're prepared, then you can do that. That doesn't happen every single time. But, that's really what I would recommend is just
nice.
I think all this conversation today is just about being prepared.
Yeah. So if you know your spread, and not to be, obviously, I'm sure you subscribe to the mantra that medium-sized pigs continue to get fed.
Yes.
Fat pigs go to the slaughterhouse.
Yes.
You know that you're making X dollars. I'm like, look, dude, I made money. I've got the deal. If I can do it that way, let's just get it over so I can go.
Yes, there's a difference though. You don't want to just pay whatever because you have profit. You don't want to get that mindset, guys. Like, it's hard to grasp. You got a car sold for 16 grand and that thing goes across the block for 14 and you're like, man, I got 2 grand made. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but what's the market of that car? Have you done the research? Because all of my numbers say 12.5. Whoa, but I got 2 grand made. Okay, so be prepared to take your lumps if you don't get that car moved at 16, because now you can't even sell it at 14. You've got to, you know what I'm saying? You always make your money on the buy. You never make your money on the sale.
Is there an equation? Like, we have an equation for our maximum allowable offer, Ronnie. Do you have an equation where you type it in and that's what it is?
Yeah, it's a lot more than typing it in. But, I have what's called, I'll show you one. I showed it a little bit earlier, but I'll show you this particular one here.
Okay. I got to cut my heat down. I'm burning. These lights are burning me up. I'll be right back.
All right. So let's look at a 2018 Honda Civic Si Coupe. So what I mean is, if you're going to buy this car, you should have this data here. So I'm looking at this data. 2018 Honda Civic Si 2-door coupe. Let's say it's got 25,000 miles on it. This little meter here is telling me what they have sold for at auction.
Gotcha.
And this is the date that they sold at auction. This is not an MLS, guys. This is not stuff that's for sale. This is stuff that has sold. So when you're looking at these numbers and you've got the car sold for 27 and you go in there and you're like, well, I can buy it for 24.5. I'm like, really? Why would you pay 24.5? The reason why you would pay 24.5 if you're a rookie is because you have profit made. And that profit is a snare. It will keep you in trouble for the rest of your life. You always want to make your money on the buy. So go back and negotiate. Say, hey, the maximum price they've gone through the sale for is 23.5. And you have to be prepared to do something that business people have a hard time doing, letting go. This is not the right deal. I do not need to own this car for 1,000 more than market just because I have a couple of grand made. And once you learn those lessons, which are super difficult, you will profit beyond belief. So I would definitely
are you saying that to say you're passing some more value to your end buyer?
Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, you want to protect your end buyer and keep it a medium-sized pig, number one. And then you want to basically help out yourself, so you're not always overpaying for cars just because you think you have profit made. Like you can't do that in the housing world either. You know, you can't just, I think I got it sold for 150, so I'm going to give up to 140. You know, you can't do that. The house is only worth 90. You know.
Yeah, they are. So let's get to some questions, Ronnie, so we can get out of here and make some money. Roberto, what's up? What's up? Anything else you want to go over real quick, Ron, before we go to questions?
I think it's just putting a water hose on a fire hydrant. So we're gonna have to keep doing videos like this. It's just so much information, guys. I hope you pick up stuff from it. I try to put those screens up so it'd be helpful for you, but it's still a whole lot of information to learn.
Okay, family first down in Macon, Georgia. What's up? He wants to know, what repairs are you responsible for when you lease a car, Ronnie?
That's a great question, family first. So check it out. I love leasing cars. I absolutely love it because you're only responsible, and it depends on the make. Like if you get a BMW or Audi, they have like these packages that can come with the lease that pays for all the maintenance, like the oil changes, tire rotations, things of that nature. But you know, those are rare. So for instance, on my lease that I have right now, I'm responsible for changing the oil twice a year and putting gas in it. And, you know, let's see, tires, if I ever wear the tires out, but I don't usually keep the cars long enough or drive that many miles so that I have to replace the tires. So regular maintenance is what you're responsible for. Nobody's going to question you and look at the list of maintenance you did, but it's a good idea to do it. That way, if anything happens to the car, you have the maintenance done. And it's usually very minimal. I mean, it's just basically oil changes, fluid flushes, brake servicing, things of that nature. But if anything breaks, it's under warranty, so you can just take it back to the manufacturer and have it repaired.
Nice. That was a good question. That's the same thing I asked you, and you broke it down for me for my lease. Ronnie, go ahead and type. Can you type your email address in there?
I can show it on the screen. So I've got this here. If you guys have any questions, you can hit me up here. Please go to my page on YouTube and subscribe. It's Ronnie Haskins. You can't miss the picture. Kris and I are trying to do this together. So there's my email. If you have questions, feel free to hit me up, and I'll answer any car questions you have for free.
That is so cool, Ronnie. You could, I mean, wow, that is worth the price of admission. Thank you for doing that for our viewers, brother.
Yeah, man.
Cassandra, Alba. Oh, I thought you were in Albany. Oh, you are in Albuquerque. That's where my boy Kris is. Leongen. I don't know what that is. Corpus Christi, Texas, Chicago, Chi-Town. Hey, Rashida. Putting in the work. I missed the bank-owned property auction last week that said bring $10,000 cashier's check. Is that the norm? Yes. Putting in the work. What's going on, my brother or sister? I don't know.
You just talked about that. Was that what you were talking about, the 10% down?
That's it, Ronnie. Yeah, 10,000. And you know what's weird? On the online stuff, Ronnie, they want you to put your credit card in. Like I'm having to use my American Express to put 10 grand down. Sometimes it's 5, and sometimes it's 3 or 4, but it's so crazy how Ronnie and I were talking about this last night. Do you even have the strength to walk this walk? You know, do you have the strength to walk this walk? And I think that you do. I think that you do. It's not the easiest walk to walk.
Let me be clear. Kris and I aren't talking every day or every Friday. We're doing it for a few reasons. We like talking to each other. Number 2, we don't think we've got it all figured out. We are just sharing the knowledge that we've accumulated over 20-something years of working at this. And we hope you get something from it. That's all. So never think we're like looking down and, you know, you guys need to do it our way. It's like every time I talk to Kris, I get an idea. I'm like, okay, I should probably try that too. So this is like a course study, a case study. You know, we're trying to work on this together as we grow. Yeah,
man. So we might be on a network one day. Luxury car store wants to know, Ronnie, have you ever bid on a car from Copart?
Luxury car store, how you doing, buddy? So let me tell you what, I get a phone call every month for somebody that wants me to buy a car at Copart's. And so here's what usually happens. They'll call me.
What is Copart, Ronnie? Hold up. What is Copart?
Okay, so Copart is a salvage title company. Like I'm not completely schooled on it. Let me pull up the website. But they Copart. So they It's online auction and salvage cars. So basically, it's a salvage unit place, like hail damaged cars, cars that were wrecked and repaired or not repaired. I've actually been over to the one in Colorado Springs. I've seen it. There's lots of cars there. But let me answer his question. So here's what usually happens to me is people call me and go, hey man, I'll give you $500 to go buy this car. And I'm like, I don't get out of bed for $500. That's the first thing. And then it's like, well, why are you buying this car? Well, I want to get it for my family. I'm like, okay, well, that car is a salvage title. Well, no, I researched it doesn't have a salvage. They fight against me. They're like, it doesn't have a salvage title, Ronnie. I'm like, it does. I'm looking at the Carfax right on my screen. And they're like, okay. I'm like, why would you care if you're buying it for your family? Well, I want to be able to sell it. I'm like, oh, so you want the benefit of my dealer's license to go flip cars for $500? I'm like, no thanks, because there's so much liability, man. Like if I go buy that car and the person doesn't give me the money, they're like, I'm not going to give you the 500. I'm not going to pay for the car. Now I've got to go get rid of the car. And so, number two, the title work. You know, in Colorado, if it's a salvage title, you can't get a loan on it. You can't lien it. You can't use it as leverage anymore. You can't even insure it properly. So if you are going to put a family in that car, they need to know that they're probably only going to be able to get liability based on my knowledge. An insurance person in the crowd could tell us, but I've never seen full coverage insurance on a salvage title.
Salvage title.
Rashida asked the same question. She says she hears about people going to county auction, and maybe that's for houses. Maybe that's for you.
No, it says car auction license for $500, right?
Okay, so this is the thing I've been seeing as well. I've been seeing guys developing these websites, and they'll let you use their license to go buy cars and charge you $500. I've seen these types of things. I would need to research it and answer you later because I'm not sure about it. I'm not willing to do that. That's too much liability. But I have seen people like commercials. They're like, hey, I'll give you this access. But the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to pay them. You're going to end up losing money because you don't know what you're doing. And so it takes a long time to figure out that stuff. And I don't even know if that means you can use their money. They're just saying you can use my license and go to the sale. But how are you going to pay for a car?
They got to have their own money, no doubt, but they have to do their own research to verify what they're buying is going to be what it is, right?
Yeah, $1,500, $2,000 cars. What do we need to know? So, okay, so if you're going to do it, you're going to pay this guy $500 to use this license, and you're going to buy a $1,500 car. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Go see if you can go to the sale early and look at the car. Get in the car, start the car up if they'll let you into the sale. And that's pretty much it. No, take a mechanic with you to walk around the car to make sure it's good to go. Other than that, Rashida, I'm not sure, man. That's a tough one.
Ronnie, they're saying they got a bad echo. You got me real loud on your side? I got you low on my side.
Is that better?
Yeah, well, let us know, class, if that's better on the echo. Do you need to go to DMV? Rashida, do you need to go to DMV every time you change the title in your name or a business name?
So the dealer's licenses, Rashida, we could talk about offline, but they are different in every state. So I can only speak to the Colorado laws. Here, you have to have an actual location that's visible from the street. So you have to have signage, you have to have things of that nature in order to have a dealer's license. And there's several types of dealer's license. You have a wholesale license, you have a retail license, and I think we also have a buyer's agent. But either way, yes, every time you change title, you have to go to the DMV and pay the fees on that particular car in order to change that title from owner to owner. I think that answers your question. You think so, Kris?
Yeah, that's probably something you guys can dig more deep in on the email.
I'm totally interested in helping you, Rashida. So if you got questions about it, email me, and I will definitely get all the information I can for you to help you out.
Ronnie, the reason I was saying if you could type something in, because this chat is easier to follow than watching a whole video to find that time. If you have it in there. Hey, gentlemen, Bluebird, Melanie in Charlotte, North Carolina. Curious about where the profit comes from in cars. Is it resale? That is a good question, Ronnie, because a lot of times the profit does not come from the sale. It comes from the financing of the sale.
That's a great question. You know, I like that question. Um, there's profit in cars. You know, there's $100 million a month of sale in this town every month in Colorado Springs. And so it's a very lucrative business because you can purchase cars at a wholesale number and you can sell them at a retail number. So there's a margin there. It's a margin-based business. So basically, once you understand how to buy properly, then you can manage the margin and you can grow that margin over time. And I'm like Kris, I don't believe in fat hogs, but I do believe in medium-sized hogs.
But on my end, Ronnie, like on real estate, sometimes I don't even care what I'm selling it for because I'm making so much money off of financing that house to the person. You know, if I bought it for 50, I'm selling it for 50 with a small down payment, like on a lease option. I can sell it and make money on the monthly payment. Are you in that business at all, or do you know guys that are?
We're not making money on a monthly payment, but I finance many cars, and we make the bank pays us to do the loans. It's great for customers because they're not even paying me the fee, and this fee sometimes is $900. So basically, they're paying me just to do the loan documents, so they don't have to.
Nice.
And so yeah, there's extra money in it that way, and I like that type of a deal because it doesn't charge the customer. So I like win-win. You know, if it's win, somebody has to lose. I don't really like those transactions. But yeah, there's a lot of profit in the car business.
Let me get even deeper with you, Ronnie, regarding buy here, pay here. I don't want to get too deep into that, but I'm saying those deals can buy the same price that they're selling, right? Because they're making money off of the monthly payment from the financing the car out.
Buy here, pay here has, in my knowledge, been the most lucrative arm of the car business since creation. Because typically when you go to, if you've ever been to a buy here, pay here, the first thing they ask you, Kris, is what do they ask you?
What's your credit score?
No, they don't ask you.
What do you have to put down? What do you have to put down?
Exactly. How much cash do you have down? And so what you say is, man, I got $2,000. So they immediately go, which cars do I own for $1,000? And so they go, you can look at these three. This one, and this one. I own that one for, in their mind, they're like, I own that one for $50. I own that one for, so every penny of down payment you give them is profit. Then you're going to have 21% interest for 3 or 4 years, which you're never going to pay off. And so they're collecting, every payment is profit. And typically they get to go repossess the car, bring it back in. They now own it for $0. And they like, how much down payment do you have, sir?
For the next person, right? But
Yeah.
That is a business model. I just brought that up. I wanted the people to understand. I wasn't hip to it. I got hip to it about 2 years ago. Buy here, pay here.
Yeah.
Big business.
I don't do it. I stay away from it. But yeah, it's super profitable.
Gotcha. So that's what she was asking. Honolulu, what's up? Holy cow.
Hawaii? Nice.
After winning the auction for the car, Ronnie, how does Candler's 2001 get it to where they gotta? How do I get it shipped to where I'm at? If you in Honolulu, you in trouble.
You know what? That's not true, man. I have purchased the car here. I had my customer call me. I have a customer who used to live here. He moved to Hawaii. He called me and said, man, I cannot buy a Lincoln. There's one Lincoln dealer here, and it's super frustrating. I was like, let me see what it costs to get you one. So I bought it here. I put it on a truck to San Diego, and I put it on a boat to Hawaii. And it cost him less to buy it from me than the dealer in Hawaii. I was like, golly. There is a major auction, just like I was showing you guys on the screen earlier, in Hawaii. I see the list every week. I mean, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of cars out there. But, so to answer your question, are they trying to buy a car and get it to Hawaii?
They didn't say, they just wanted to know how to get it shipped to where they are.
Okay, so like I ship probably 400 cars a year, and basically we use a shipping service called Central Dispatch. So you can go look up Central Dispatch. That company, if you qualify to be part of that organization, you can go assign cars and have shippers move your inventory wherever you want all over the country. I don't know about getting into Hawaii on a regular basis. It's got to go on a boat. But yeah, you can look at Central Dispatch, or you ship it. You ship it is another one.
So, all right. So let's move on. The auction clears all liens on real estate. Yes, the auction, as long as you're bidding on first position, it's going to clear all the liens after that, except tax liens. Van Gogh Matisse. Hey, Van Gogh Matisse. Why is smoking not allowed in rental properties? Van Gogh Matisse, great question. The reason we don't, I just don't rent to smokers. One of my mentors told me years ago not to rent to smokers, and I didn't understand it then, but boy, do I understand it now. When you smoke, that stuff gets into the sheetrock, into the paint, and ultimately it gets into the wood. I've seen it go penetrate the sheetrock, get into the wood. I don't see how people's lungs even can take it smoking every day, but that's their thing to deal with. But it also gets in your central heating and air. It gets on your windows, so you got to wipe that stuff off the windows, and you can't just wipe it off. You have to use strong chemicals and ammonia. Sometimes we have to scrub the walls with ammonia to kill that tar smell. And that smell is just very hard to get out. It gets in the floor, the ceilings, the light fixtures, and it just brings your property down regardless. And even Ronnie said that he doesn't even like buying cars with smoke. Van Gogh.
It's the same thing, man. It gets into the carpet, it gets into the glass, it gets into the plastic of the car. I mean, it's just, oh man, it's devastating on cars.
It's devastating on houses. But Van Gogh Matisse, that's a good question. From California, what up, baby? So, Rashida, do you get your deposit back, Kris, if you don't?
That's a good question. I was reading that one. I was like, well, you put that $10,000 down at the auction, right? And then if you don't come up with the money in 14 days, what happens to the 10 grand, Kris? Deuces.
Kiss that $10,000 goodbye. You just donated it to the lender.
Rashida, that you get that is gone.
Yeah, that's why, this is an advanced strategy, and I don't recommend everybody to do it. But you know what's weird, Ronnie? I was listening to Jim Rohn and Marcus Garvey. He's like, man, when are you going to make a big decision? Everybody makes small decisions nowadays, and I'm completely opposite, my brother Ronnie. I'm opposite. Like, I can make big decisions, right? But when it comes to ordering pizza or like putting a picture on the wall, little decisions.
Are you in the pizza line the other night?
Huh?
Are you in the pizza line the other night? Couldn't leave. I'm like, just leave.
We had already paid for it.
Go buy another. You paid $7. Go get another pizza.
So let's make some big decisions, class. Eventually, when are we gonna make some big decisions? So that's that you want to get that over. Yes, you can. You lose your money, Rashida. Forget it. Forget about it.
Kris, the thing with my industry at the auction, let's say I buy the car, right? It goes on my line of credit. Or you can even buy the car and say you're going to pay in 3 days, right? You don't pay, you are cut off at all auctions. Like, they just hit a button in the system. You can no longer buy cars. So you try to log in, and it's like your account is locked. Like, they basically lock you up. And until you pay for that car, you are doing nothing else.
Oh, wow. So basically, yeah, they don't want to deal, man. These people don't have time to deal with, how would you, so to speak, people that are going to waste time. They're in there to get the transaction, get it over with. Miyagi Fat Ghost just woke up. Welcome. Jade C. Hey, we're good. Bluebird, can you discuss robo bidding principles and tactics? Oh, God. Robo bidding, that's where you bid on an online auction to buy a house.
Okay.
And then their computer or whatever algorithm they have actually literally bids against you. So you're bidding against yourself, class.
Wow.
Once again, remember I was telling you, Ronnie, I think this should be legal. It's like if I had a rental property, right? And I called all the tenants that turned in that wants to rent, and I said, you know what? I don't really have I have a tenant that's willing to pay $100 more than you, but I didn't really have the tenant.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to pay $900, $1,000, $1,100? I mean, to me, I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem fair.
That doesn't seem fair. That seems crazy, man.
It's not right, dude. I think we should, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll make it one of my missions to challenge robo bidding because I don't think it's right for our economy.
There are certain things, Kris, that I just won't do for money. Like, even if I figured out a way to do that, I like to go to sleep at night. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm not even interested. If I have to, I learned it a long time ago. If you're just taking advantage of people and you're profiting, it's just stealing. Yeah, it's man. Like at some point, it's going to come back to bite you in the butt. And I do know people that they can sleep really well with that. But for me, I've always had a problem with it. You got to get value for the dollars we receive. Napoleon Hill says it best. What value are you giving up in exchange for the money you're getting? I like it. All right. Look at the squirrel. This is great. Thank you, WNLB. The Drizza. What up, the Drizza?
Thank you guys for your time. Learning so much. Thank you. Ronnie, what do you think about a rebuilt title? What about a rebuilt title? I don't even know what that is.
I don't think there's a difference between a rebuilt title and a salvage title. So basically what happens is you get a car that, let's say it gets in an accident and it gets rebuilt. It's now a salvage title because the insurance company has paid that car off and paid the first person that had insured it. So if it's a salvage title, I don't think you have a problem, Rashida. If you're looking to get a car that's inexpensive or less than the marketplace, as long as you're paying cash and you understand the risk you're taking as far as repairs, maintenance, the car no longer has a warranty because they won't cover stuff that's been damaged like that. So I don't think it's a problem. But if you have a specific car you want to talk about, feel free to email me at any time and I'll discuss it with you so that I can make sure that, I can just help you make a better educated decision.
Good. Sounds good. It's good. Okay, Tori. Hey, Tori. Tori's here. Good on your end.
She's talking about the sound.
Yep. How do you get the license, Ronnie? They want to get an auction license. I don't know anything about that.
Okay, so she's in Florida. I don't know the Florida dealer's licenses, but it's definitely something we could Google and figure out. Like I said, Rashida, we could talk car stuff. Send me an email. I'll help you through it. If you want to discuss what it takes, if you're really thinking about doing it on your own, I can definitely help you.
Okay, let me ask you. Oh, all right, let's move on. Avery TV wants to know, where can you go online to buy properties on an auction? I can break them all down here, man. You got X Home, Williams and Williams, but just go to Google online real estate auction. You get a whole list of them. They're all on the internet. Auction.com. Candors, thanks for the info links. Yes. Mr. Kris, do you have documents, copies, examples of how you structure your rental agreements? Absolutely. You got my email address up there. I have a small fee because me and my brother do this stuff for free. I have a small fee for any documents that you want. Just email me and I'll get it out to you. Luxury card store. Philly, isn't robo bidding the same thing as shill bidding? I was under the impression that shill bidding is illegal. What is shill bidding?
I don't know. I've never heard of shill bidding.
Hey, brother, Mr. Transaction.
Mr. Transaction. That's the buyer we've been looking for right there, Kris.
There you go. All right, Ronnie, let's take us out. What is your final thought so I can go make some money?
So, guys, I think the final thought is, once again, remember, we're just talking about stuff that we do on a daily basis. We've done for 15, 20 years, and we're just exploring it and sharing it. So what I'm saying about these auctions, I think the one lesson for today is do your research, understand what you're getting yourself into, and don't ever purchase something based on what you have it sold for. Make sure you look at the market and pay what the value of that vehicle is or that house is, and don't worry about the profit. The profit will come.
Value, yes. I want to say thank you guys for coming. I'm going to drop last thing. Subscribe to my channel and my brother's channel below. Click the link. Please give us a thumbs up so we can work on our optimization. We're just two brothers in business trying to make it out here. I want to encourage you to join us, Ronnie, in our mission to raise the financial literacy. Raise the financial literacy. Raise your financial literacy. I remember when I first started and I used to see my mentor, Lonnie Scruggs. He wrote a book, a couple books. I'm like, man, you wrote a book. I thought that was cool. And as I walk into maturity now, I'm writing books and I'm sharing this information. I challenge you to come on over. The challenge, like we were talking last night, Ronnie, do you have the fortitude, the strength to put in the extra hours for yourself to build your future, build your financial empire? Do you have it? Yes, and I think that you can. What do you think, Ronnie?
I think you can. I think you can. With hard work and perseverance, I think you can. And you got to want to do it.
You got to want to do it. Okay, Ronnie, love you very much, man. Tell Brittany what's up.
Brittany, come say bye to Uncle Kris.
Billy finally went to sleep over there. Billy went to sleep on me. Okay, class, huh?
Come on in. Say bye to Uncle Kris.
Bye.
Wow. I got attitude and eye rolls and everything. She rolled her eyes and walked out.
All right, guys. Class, I'll see you back on my brother's channel. You have his video, his solo video, Mondays at 10:30 Mountain Time.
Yes, sir.
And I will be back with brother Mr. Transaction Engineer on Wednesday at 1. And periodically, I'll be dropping tons of videos for your real estate training. If you need coaching and consultations, just shoot us an email. Peace.
Later on, guys.